Day 5 of training camp is in the books. Not only did Colston and Loveland stand out, we also got Luther Burden on the practice field. We're going to talk about that, plus more of the standouts and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Terry Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. We got the standouts from day 5 of training camp with the Chicago Bears, and Colston Loveland has made yet another strong appearance, this time on his second day of full practice for the Chicago Bears. It looks like with Monday's practice, during the 7-on-7 drills is where he stood out with some really nice catches when it came down to it. This one comes from Patrick Finley, who talked about Colston Loveland catching a leaping catch from Caleb Williams on a pass over the middle, which is what he's going to bring a lot, especially in that 12 personnel set. So that's what you like to do. Seems like in 2 days already, Colston Loveland has already stood out, and you can see exactly how Ben Johnson is going to use the talented young tight end in his system, and you love to hear that. One of the people he's going to be helping to form that group of weapons with is DJ Moore. And while Rome Odunze had been a standout in last week, it seems like DJ Moore stood out today in practice. This one coming from Zach Pickens, who said that Moore won a rep against cornerback Tyreek Stevenson on a deep ball where he made a sliding catch from Caleb Williams during the one-on-one drills. Moore's helmet even came off during the catch. While there's no denying that Moore will serve as a key role in the passing game, DJ Moore will got a look at running back as well during this padded practice. So, it seems like we talked a little bit about before how Ben Johnson could really use Luther Burden all over the field as a positionless player. And I do think you're going to see some of those actions in Ben Johnson's offense, no doubt. Now, is it going to be Luther Burden? Is it going to be Rome? Is it going to be DJ Moore? The answer to that question is probably yes. It's going to be a little bit of those guys depending on the matchup. But to hear that Ben Johnson already in the training camp is using DJ Moore at running back a little bit, I think that's going to be an exciting thing to see when that all comes down to it as well. JP Richardson is a player that continues to stand out as well. He stood out again today in practice. And from what we're hearing now, I think we can go ahead and make the call. JP Richardson is probably on pace to make this team over Tyler Scott, which is something that we've talked a little bit about before. According to Zach Pearson, JP Richardson won 2 reps during the one-on-one drills when it came down to it. And when you look at the defensive backs that he's coming up against, that's really good as well. Alex Shapiro talked about JP Richardson and how he's excelled at creating space, which again was evident on Monday's practice as well. Listen, JP Richardson, we know one thing with this coaching staff, everybody's new, right? New eyes on everybody. And, when Ben Johnson talked about the thing that there is no depth chart, this is the kind of the thing that you're talking about. Tyler Scott, a player that's been here, now going into his, 3rd year with the Chicago Bears, and even after hearing that he had some amazing chemistry last year in training camp with Caleb Williams, he's been not even mentioned basically at all. And if you're talking about like players in Devin Duvernay, Tyler Scott, and JP Richardson all fighting over to make the final roster, as it stands right now, JP Richardson may have the in on Tyreek Stevenson. I do think Devin Duvernay, he's going to be special in special teams for the Chicago Bears, and they're going to have a big plan for him to be that. But outside of that, I think you're also looking at JP Richardson is a guy that he's turning heads, and we know that Ben Johnson likes his playmakers. And JP Richardson, who was really productive college player for a while there, to come over now and find his role with the Chicago Bears in the NFL wouldn't be too much of a surprise. So keep an eye out for that one. Grady Jarrett, as well as a player that's out. Now, I typically don't mention veterans as standing out in training camp because you kind of come to expect that. But according to Carmen, they said that Jarrett was a problem in one-on-one drills. He looks disruptive as ever. And Clay Harbor added that Jarrett still has the juice and plays with motor. Also, apparently, following practice, Drew Dahlman, talked about Grady Jarrett and says that he isn't sure if he has any weaknesses and believe it's beneficial for any offensive lineman to go up against him. Jarrett has been an impactful run defender and disruptive pass rusher in practice so far for the Chicago Bears. Listen here. We need all of that from Grady Jarrett, right? Like, and this is not a knock on Javon Dexter. You guys know I'm actually somebody who's defended Javon Dexter, and I think going into his second year as a starter, we should see a nice step up from Javon Dexter. But having a guy like Grady Jarrett that can bring some of that consistent pressure in the run and pass defense is going to be really important, especially for Montez Sweat to help free him up a little bit when it comes down to that too. So the fact that right now it seems like he hasn't really lost a step. Anybody who's worried about him kind of taking a step back or getting old or anything like that, it seems like he's still in there bringing it. And that's really good for the Chicago Bears. You want to see that when it comes down to it. You want to see this veteran be able to come in here and really shine for the Chicago Bears. And hopefully that's going to be a really good thing when it all comes down to it. Another player also that has really stood out so far is Chris Williams, that we got word on today, saying this. Williams was a standout during offensive line and defensive line drills where he got the best of Joe Thuney a couple of times. There's certainly a roster spot up for grabs along the defensive line where Williams could even position himself to pass up former third-round pick Zach Pickens. Listen, training camp is all about the ebbs and flows. And there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows. There's going to be some days where the offense looks good, some days where the defense gets the better of the offense, and vice versa, right? There's going to be certain matchups that play in the hands of one player over another at times. All that's going to happen. No surprise there. It shouldn't be any surprise for anybody. But, Zach Pickens is a player that, when he was drafted in the same draft with Javon Dexter, there was some hope that, all right, maybe the Bears have drafted their starting defensive tackle of the future. Maybe these are going to be the two guys that are going to start at the future. You've shown that up. Pickens hasn't really been earned a lot of opportunity. Then you get a guy like Shamar Turner, who was drafted by the Bears. He's going to be looking for an opportunity and trying to make a name for himself both now and in the future. And it may be on the fact that we're starting to look at maybe this is going to start being the end of Zach Pickens as far as being on this Bears roster. It's going to be difficult to make the final 53 here, especially with the new coaching staff that's not beholden to where you're drafted at. They don't care. They're coming in here looking at who's going to help bring it. And if you're not doing that, things could change for you very quick here with the Chicago Bears team. And that's what, a lot of people now are looking at, and we'll see what's going to happen. But let's get to the other bit of news before we get out of this. Luther Burden was seen on the practice field for the first time after missing the first 4 practices due to his injury, and that's good. We know that Ben Johnson did say that he was close to returning when it comes down to it. He was participating in individual drills today, so that's good. So what does that mean? It means that he is in that ramp-up period where he's ramping up to get back on the football field, which is what you want him to do. He's going to be in a battle with Olamide Zaccheaus for that slot receiver, that starting slot receiver spot. And if he wants that position to start off the season, he's going to have to come firing on all cylinders because Zaccheaus is not going to make it easy on him. So Luther Burden now returning is at a really good time. It gets him enough time as well to continue building that chemistry with Caleb Williams. We know that Ben Johnson has talked about how much the time that he missed and how important the time that he's missed already as far as missing some things. Building that chemistry with Caleb needs to be what Luther Burden is focused on, understanding the playbook, which while you're injured, hopefully you've been really digging in and diving into that playbook as much as possible. And if he's been doing that, things should work out for him. We know that Luther Burden has the talent, right? There's no doubt about that. That's why we drafted him where we drafted him out. That's why a guy like Ben Johnson was so excited about having him. Luther Burden is almost ready-made for a Ben Johnson offense. The bigger question is, can he get over this little bit of hump that he's had here now with missing some time? And if he does, great. There's going to be an opportunity here. There's going to be a role here for him, but he has to show it on the football field. He has to show that time that he was missed has not harpened him too much. And if he does, great. And we shall see. But overall, really sounds like a solid day of day 5 in training camp for the Chicago Bears. We'll be covering it in more detail on tomorrow's full episode, but make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.